Hey friends, it's Missy again. Thanks for joining me today. I'm here with a new layout for the Hip Kit Club, and I'm using the 2018 June kits again. And my assignment for today was to use fussy cut bits from this paper. And this is one of the Pink Fresh Studio papers called Sweet Life. And so I've already cut into it for a couple other things, but there are still a lot of little shapes and sentiments and flowers and all kinds of cute things on this page that are still usable. So I'm just going to start cutting. I don't really have a design idea in mind yet. I just started cutting things out and creating my own little die cut embellishments. And I thought once I had several things cut out, I would look and see what I have and then sort of get an idea from that. And I also let this dictate my color scheme. So I'm going to have lots of yellows, soft pinks, and then that orangey peachy color. And this actually turns into me fussy cutting more things from other papers and Project Life cards. So here's what I cut from this one paper. There's little labels, there's little banner pieces. I realized that I had not used this Bella Boulevard bird paper yet, and so I thought, you know, these colors coordinate, so I cut a few of those little birds out as well. I just was in the mood to cut, and so I just, like Forrest Gump, you know, I just kept running, I just kept cutting, and before I knew it, I had a huge stack of fussy cut things. I only cut out a couple of birds though. I did not cut out all of those. I also cut out some flowers from one of the other Bella Boulevard papers, and I'm going to use some color photos today. These are some cute selfies. You know me, I love taking selfies with my girls, and these are actually from about 4 years ago. I'm going to use some Project Life cards. I'm going to use this pink cardstock from the cardstock kit as my background. I also cut some pink circles from one of the 4x6 Project Life cards, and these papers here that are on the background right here, those are packaging pieces from the Pretty Little Studio bits that we got in the kits. And they're too cute to not use, so I'm going to ruffle up the edges and use them as part of my design. I actually was going to use them in my layout for last week, the rainbow layout, and it just wound up not working out for that particular page. And so they're going to work out for this page. So I thought I would kind of start in the middle and stack the photos one on top of the other, kind of crooked-like, and then just start to add in bits and pieces as layers around the photos from that little stash of pieces that I just cut out. So that's all I'm going to do here. And I take some time to do this. I'm not sure what I'm going to do to the background yet, but I didn't want to use white. I've used white, I think, on my last two layouts as a background, so I decided to go with pink. And I didn't use one of the pattern papers as a background because I knew that I was going to have a lot of little bits and pieces tucked in here and there, and it was going to be kind of busy in the embellishment section, or I guess embellishment heavy, and so I didn't want a patterned background to compete with that. So I went with a solid background. And I'm just kind of playing around here. I don't wind up using everything that I cut, but I'm just kind of tucking in things and seeing how it looks. And I think I've used black and white pictures on my last three layouts, and so I wanted to challenge myself to use color. And I felt like these pictures would go well because it's mostly skin tones in the picture. She's not wearing a shirt. Looks like I'm not, but I have a tank top on. You can't see it, but the camera was really close because she was moving and laughing, and we were just cuddling and being silly. And so I thought these would be good for this color scheme with lots of light pinks and yellows and oranges, or that peachy color, because the colors in the photos are pretty neutral and there's not a lot of other busy colors going on. So all I'm going to do here is start to piece things together, because if I move everything, I'm never going to get it back like I had it. So I'm going to very carefully start to attach things. And I did add a little bit of tissue paper behind my pictures there, just for a little layer. And then I'm going to very slowly and carefully start to tape and glue things together. And I did want to incorporate some black elements. I'm going to use that Project Life card. It's mostly white, but the edges have little white polka dots on there. And so I want to add in some either black or dark gray. So what I did here off camera is I stitched some messy straight back and forth stitching with some dark gray thread. And I just love how sewing or stitching can really change the look of something. It's so simple, and yet it can really make a difference in just the detail. And I like that, the color of the dark gray there. It just kind of gives it an edge. Now this terrible color green foam, you're not going to be able to see that. It's just foam. And I'm going to use that underneath the pictures to kind of raise the pictures up off the page. So I'm going to set that aside and start to work on the background. I know right away I'm going to use gesso, and this is white gesso, and I'm just scraping it on. Not very nice or neat, just kind of smudging and scraping and smudging and blending, kind of mostly behind and to around the area where everything is going to go. Now I wanted to add in some pops of blue, since I did cut out a couple of those blue flowers from the Bella Boulevard paper. So I pulled out the stencil from the April color kits, and then this is the Peacock Feathers Distress Oxide, and I cannot remember what color kit that came in, but we did get it in a color kit in the last several months. And when it reacts with water, it's just amazing to watch it blend. And so the gesso makes this possible on cardstock, because otherwise anything wet that hits cardstock is going to just immediately soak right through, and the gesso sort of allows you to blend and smudge without it doing that. So I've got a little bit of blue going on now, and then this is a shimmers from my stash. It is a dark gray colorings, and it's called A Shade of Gray, and I love how it looks. It's perfect if you don't want something that's just jet black. It's a nice subtle gray. Now this pink is from the color kit this month, and it is a Shimmers original paint, and it's called Pinko de Mayo. And it is a beautiful shimmery pink, and I just want some subtle, deeper tones of pink on top of this light pink background. So I'm just going to do a little bit of that at the top and the bottom, and I'm just painting it down and then smudging it with my fingers. I sometimes think that your fingers are the best tools you can have to smudge and blend things when it comes to paints or gelatos. So don't be afraid to get your fingers dirty. You can see there how shimmery it is. It's so pretty. I love how that looks. And so it looks kind of strange when I don't have the pictures and things on top of it, but when you put it all together, you can see the effect that it's going to give. So now I'm going to work on gluing more things down. I'm going to get the photos glued down, and I don't want them perfectly straight, but I do want the stitching to show a little bit. I didn't want to cover up all that stitching. And then I'm just going to start to piece everything back together. And I did wind up having to move some things, and so of course it's not going to go back exactly like I had it, because I can't remember exactly where I put it the first time, and I did not take a picture of it. Sometimes I'll take a picture of it with my phone so I can go back and reference that. But it doesn't matter, because I've still got all the pieces, and I'm just going to play around. It's kind of like a puzzle. Putting a puzzle together, just seeing what looks good where, and where does this fit, and you know, where is this color versus that color, trying to space out the oranges and the blues. I think those little birds are so cute, so I think I wind up using three birds, and then some of the flowers from the Bella Boulevard paper and the Pink Fresh paper, and then those round or the light pink circles, those are from the Project Life card. And now I'm going to work on some thread before I glue down the entire thing here. I've got that orangey peachy color that I'm going to add over to the right. And then I felt like I needed a pop of that bright yellow down at the bottom right, since I've got that sunshine piece up at the top left. And that's going to wind up being my title, that little So Much Happiness piece. That's from Pretty Little Studio, and I like how it looks right there in the middle, and I like that it's black and white, so it's going to kind of get another little pop of black in there. And then I'm going to work in some of the chipboard from Pink Fresh Studio as well. And I'm really liking how this is coming together. This was fun. I liked using all of those little fussy cut pieces, and I think that's the only yeah, I don't use any big pieces of pattern paper in this layout. It's mostly just everything is fussy cut. I did want to add in some stamping. I love these flowers from the Vicky Bouton stamps, and those are from the color kit this month. And I did this on my last layout. I just stamped some in a dark gray or a light gray ink, just to give something extra to the background. And I wanted to keep stamping because I just love them, but I only did those two. I didn't want to get too busy and go too overboard with the background, because as always, I want the photos to stand out, and I don't want things to get too busy to where you just, you know, you look at it and it's like, whoa, there's way too much going on here. And hopefully that's not how it looks at this point. But I'm going to start to attach the last little bits here. I'm going to add a little piece of foam under the left side of the title, and then add another little pop of yellow over to the bottom left. And I'm going to do that with thread. And this is another case of thread to the rescue. If you need a quick pop of color in a certain area, a little tangle of thread is a great way to do that, because it doesn't take very long, it's pretty cheap. And I stuck my bottle of shimmers on top of that die cut because it kept wanting to pop up, so I wanted it to stay glued down. And now I'm going to add in some stickers. This is from the Pretty Little Studio sticker sheet, a bright rainbow array of colors. I'm going to use a couple of those, just mainly in the colors that I've already got going on the page. I love the dark pink ones, but I didn't really have that dark pink color. These are also Pretty Little Studio, a huge pack of labels, and I'm just going to use a couple of those in colors that match, just for little details along edges and underneath things. And you could really use these labels for anything. They don't have to be used just as labels or for, you know, the date or anything like that. You can totally use those for embellishments or die cuts, layers, anything. You could use those for anything, really. So then I wanted to use this paper. This is one of the exclusive Hip Kit papers, and I wanted to use black and white, but I didn't want bold black. I wanted more of a gray. So I cut the strips with the not the solid black, but the patterned black. So to the naked eye, it looks gray. And I'm just going to attach it to the edge behind the side, and then start to cut and tear the cardstock so you can see it peeking around the edge. And then I'm going to just kind of ruffle the edges over and make that look kind of messy and torn. Same thing with this side. Of course, I got this side crooked, so I had to reattach it. And I do it this way just because if I tear the cardstock first and then try to eyeball and stick the pattern paper behind it, I'll never get the size right, and I want to make sure everything stays 12 by 12. So I did some stitching off camera there with the same gray thread, just to kind of finalize those edges and give it a little something. And then the last thing I'm going to do is add my journaling over here on the bottom right. That's the perfect little nook to add some sentences there, and I believe that is going to be it. I really love how this turned out. This was so much fun to make. I'm so glad that I got the assignment to fussy cut that paper, because otherwise I don't think this whole idea would have even came to me. And I love the color photos. I just think everything is so pretty together. Kimberly does an amazing job putting these kits together every single month, and I just get ideas that I never thought that I would get. And so I love how this turned out. Let me know what you guys think. Let me know if you have any questions about any of the kits or the techniques, anything at all. And I will see you guys in the next video. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a wonderful week.